Islam, all meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. I want to ask that all who are able to please rise and face the east as we recite the Moorish American prayer. Standing facing the east with our heels together, feet at a 45-degree angle, holding up two fingers on the right and five on the left. Please repeat after me. Allah, Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation by night and by day through his holy prophet, Drew Ali, Islam Moors. All right, Islam Moors, I want to announce this meeting is now open. This is the Moorish Science Temple of America, Temple 30, Columbus, Ohio. First and foremost, I rise giving the highest of praise to the Most High and our Father God, Allah. I extend honors to our divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali, for bringing us our divine creed and nationality so that we may learn to love instead of hate. I extend honors also to the forerunner, our brother Marcus Mosiah Garvey, for preparing the way for our prophet. And I extend honors to the Moorish and the American flags. I extend honors also to the Charter and its 10 wonders, and I extend honors to the first Supreme Grand Sheikh appointed by the Prophet, Brother E. Millie Ill. I extend honors also to all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, and I extend honors to the office of Supreme Grand Sheikh and Supreme Grand Council of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Islam Moors, Brother Jackson Bey, if you're able to, brother, please read our divine constitution and bylaws.
Congress, God rise, giving all praise to Allah, the Prophet Drew Ali, honor to the forefathers and foremothers, and honor to the AGS, the Muslims all over the world. Salvation, Allah, unity, Moorish Science Temple of America, the Divine Constitution and bylaws. Act 1, the Grand Sheikh and the Chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America is empowered to make law and enforce law with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The Assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Act 2, all means are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest, because on a Friday, the first man was formed in flesh, and on a Friday, the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is a holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. No member is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4, all members must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all members must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are part and parcel of the government and must live life accordingly. Act 5, this organization of the Moorish Science Temple of America is not to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6, with us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are part and parcel of this state government. They know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7, all members must promptly attend their meetings and become part and parcel of all other acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Members must pay their dues and keep in line for necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you're entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband, take care of your children, and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through guidance of his Father God Allah. Noble Drew Ali, founder Moorish American prayer. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation by night and by day. Through his holy prophet, Ch18. Amen. The Moorish Science Temple of America, home office. Noble Ch18, home office, Chicago, Illinois, USA. Islamism, peace and love. Happy holidays, Muslims.
Islam and gratitude, brother. Brother Kobe, if you're able to, please read our writs.
Islam. I rise, give perfect praise to great God Allah. Rise, give honor to the Prophet Noble Ch18. Rise, give honor to the forerunner, Mark the Messiah, guardians, arbiters. Rise, give honor to all ills and days. Rise, give honor to everybody on the call and on the planet. To be proclaimed in every meeting, Islam. I'm glad that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There's a host of jealousy about me and the movement now, by the same people of our side of the nation who claimed that I was a joke and unreal. But now, since they found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me so they may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds. The ones that pay their divine respects to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I'm calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance, and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works which I have performed in the past few years. Prophet, Noble Ch18. To the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Islam, this is instruction from your prophet, Noble Ch18. Be faithful unto your forefather divine and national creed, that you will be blessed for your good deeds that you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is on now. But the weak can comprehend it not. The end of times are drawing near, so says Allah, who is divine prophet, I Noble Ch18, and that is why many hearts have turned to stone. Many have eyes to see, but cannot see, ears to hear, but cannot hear, lest they'll be confounded of their sins. These are the trying hours now, dear Lord, and every evil spirit is moving, and they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not what you hear or see, but will sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your prophet. Watch your enemies, dear Lord. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against your national principles of your temple. Act accordingly, and Allah will bless you for your good work. Peace. Your divine prophet, Noble Ch18. Prophet warns all Muslims to be read in every meeting. I hereby inform all members they must end all radical speeches while at work or on the street. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans and causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be a severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings towards the prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their rewards from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law laid down for them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Ch18. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out divine plea to all Moorish Americans. They do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah. to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Peace. Noble Drew Ali. Islam, Islam, Islamism. Happy Holy Day, Mob.
Islamic gratitude, brother. Sister Law Shay L, would you please read our additional laws?
Islam. I rise to give all praise to the great Father God Allah. I give honors to the Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I give honors to the forerunner to the Prophet Marcus Messiah Garvey. I give honors to all Muslims on the call and all Muslims around the world. Questionary and additional laws for the Moorish Americans by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Act 1. Grand sheikhs and governors and heads of all temples, all business. Each said temple must be approved by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali before acting upon by any members, let it be finance, property, or any line of life that will cause the members to sacrifice finance, etc., that will cause the support of any group of members. Any formal officer that violates these laws is subject to be removed from his office under a heavy restriction, etc., and by the Prophet or the Grand Sheikh. Act 2. All members are to attend their EDET meetings and their public meetings promptly. If a member is found standing around on the meeting period, shall be fined 50 cents on the first case, and on the second, he will be fined $1, which will go on your emergency fund. If member is working, his monthly dues must be paid, and if he has money in the bank, he must subscribe for as much as he is able to the Moorish uplifting funds, because it takes finance to uplift the nation. Act 3. It is a lawful and divine duty of every good member, if he is able in finance, to aid me in saving the nation. And if he does not, he is an enemy to the cause of uplifting his own people, and justice must catch you. Let it be he or she according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, as I have the power invested in my hands, and I would have to enforce the law in order to save the nation. Act 4. All members, while up making a public speech, must not use any assertion against the American flag or speak radical against the church or any member of any organized group, because we are to teach love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Act 5. All members must promptly attend their meetings and send their children to Sunday school, and the teacher must confirm himself to the questionnaire, and let every member exercise his 5 senses who is able to do so, because out from your Sunday school comes the guiders of the nation. Act 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we're teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, Black people, or Ethiopians, because these names are given to slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live in the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and a parcel of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple, then you're entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and mind pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his Father God, Allah. Islam. Happy Holy Day, Muslims.
Islam, sister, and gratitude. Let's go ahead and get started with today's measure. We're going to be in chapter 18 of the Holy Koran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. See if we can get that up on the screen real quick. Okay, yeah, so now as we go into chapter 18, you see it has a long title, The Resurrection of Jesus. Pilate places the Roman seal upon the stone door of the tomb. At midnight, a company of the Silent Brothers, the Silent Brotherhood, march about the tomb. The soldiers are alarmed. Jesus preaches to the spirits in prison. What's that about? Early Sunday morning, he rises from the tomb. The soldiers are bribed by the priests to say that the disciples had stolen the body. All right, real long chapter title. But to sum up this chapter, really understand what this is about, because remember, what we want to do is understand the actual meaning of the scripture so that we can begin to apply these divine instructions from the prophet. We want to apply these divine instructions to our life. The prophet put this together, was divinely prepared in order to bring out Allah in you. We tend to skip over this. We overlook the power of this. We may even think it has no power. It's not as important because we don't understand our true nature. It's not a knock to anyone here. It's just the truth. We don't understand our true nature. You could hear this 1,000 times and still not understand your true nature. It's not real for you until you've made contact with your higher self. Plain and simple. We don't know it's real until we make contact with our higher self. All these words, divinely prepared by the prophet, they mean nothing. It may sound good, but if we're not making contact, we don't know what this know thyself in Allah means. We don't know why it's important, why the prophet put these lessons in here about Jesus, why he deemed this appropriate for us to know thyself in Allah, to actually bring about Allah in man. So once again, these are not just words. Know thyself and thy Father God Allah. They're not just put in here for any reason, right? So these are divine instructions to bring out Allah in you. This is how we come into our earthly and divine salvation. This cannot be skipped over. This is what the prophet deemed fit for us to not ignore the spiritual. We already do that in society. We live in a secular society. We are under a secular government, right? Everything is secular. I was just talking to my son as we were riding in the car and I was playing reggae, and it's like the real Rastafarian music where they're just talking about Jah and living righteously. And I'm like, that's like their version of gospel music. It's all about spirituality. But then the regular, like the popular reggae that everybody hears, it's all about getting drunk and high, having sex. It's all about the physical world, right? And so we live in this world that's a lot like that regular, like that mainstream stuff that we see, especially the music. Music's perfect because if you look at the music, and the music has an impact on people because people listen to it on a regular basis, and it's like programming. It's representative of society. It's all about the physical. Feed that body, right? Get overweight, sex, drugs, get drunk, do all of this stuff, this earthly stuff. And it's not saying to sit up here and not take care of your body and not be healthy. But when you get all into the physical and you don't put any time towards the spiritual, towards the higher aspects, things fall out of balance. And so to bring some understanding to this, why this is so important, all right, the carnal nature, the lower self, as it's explained to us, is the devil as far as we're concerned. It is Satan. It is the enemy. Even though our carnal nature isn't truly our enemy, it is when it's running the show. It makes a good servant, and it makes a terrible boss, horrible boss. The lower self will lead to destruction every time. It can't go beyond the physical realm. It has a limited perspective. And so these divine instructions from the prophet then are in here to help us, to free us from this prison. right? Because we read in this long title, and Jesus preaches to the spirits in prison. What? Y'all heard that part in here? Because we went over this chapter several times. You remember when Jesus was preaching to the spirits in prison? So of course it's not talking about a physical prison, right? But this is, remember, these instructions are not just in here to read about something that may or may not have happened a long time ago. This is to be applied to our lives right here and right now. And if we're not going to put in work to do this, there's not going to be some earthly salvation. Okay? We don't want to just copy what type of system we're in now, where it's all secular, it's all material, physical world. We want to be in balance. We have an Islamic nation state for a reason. So we can't leave that out. Because you hear people, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. You think that's smart, right? We've all been there. Most of us have been there though before. So we thought it was smart at one time too, right? Not trying to put anyone down. But it's not as smart as we thought it was. Because we don't even know what spirituality is. We don't even know, or we didn't know, that we were actually bound by cords to everything. We didn't know that we really are connected to the Creator. So when this thing is saying, know thyself and thy Father God Allah, it's really talking about you knowing your true nature. In order to know your true nature, you can't just know about the good. Oh, yeah, you God. Oh, yeah, pat on the back. You still devil, but we're going to call you God. No, we have to know about our true nature, right? Both sides of the coin. And so, the carnal nature, the lower self cannot be in control. I liken it to our mind is like the command center. So when you're looking at the military, you have the command center. Everybody's not even allowed in there. And then also, everybody's not even allowed to talk. You know how people, they say permission to speak. That's where you have the commanders, the chiefs in there, right? And they're making the decisions because they know the severity of the decisions that they make. Everybody can't even, hey, no, it can't be like that. And that's how the lower self is. So it's not even supposed to be in the command center. The lower self is regulated to its spot. And it's supposed to be taking orders, not the other way around. So, for humanity as a whole, in generally speaking, just pretty much you could just throw a rock, go out in a crowd of people, just throw a rock. Anyone that you hit is under control of their lower self. That's how much it is right now. It's pretty much everybody on earth is being controlled by the lower self or slaves to sin. All right. So we want to turn this around. We don't want to keep this system going. It's prison being under our lower self. So moving forward, right? Looking at this long title, it really could be summed up as the resurrection of Jesus and the unfoldment of the soul. The unfoldment of the soul, because that's what's taking place here. We're looking at the resurrection of Jesus, and this is a symbol of spiritual renewal, of liberation of the soul. We also have the promise of eternal life, but this is in here for all of us because it represents each and every one of our own journey towards spiritual awakening. And in order to do so, you don't just get the spiritual awakening. No, in order to actually do so, we must exercise mastery over our lower desires, right? We have to find liberation through unity with the divine. Okay. And so, going into this, we get the context in here. It shows Jesus' resurrection, and he's interacting with the soldiers. And all of that symbolizes the triumph of spirit over matter and the liberation of the soul from worldly confines. So we're not even realizing that we're in prison. We're not even realizing that we're slaves to sin. We're not even realizing it. First off, we have to understand and even just come into that awareness of what's really going on so that we can liberate ourselves. So that's really what all this is about. That's why it can't be skipped. That's why the prophet deemed it fit for us to adhere to the holy day. And then also to the Sunday school And that's why, you know, on the holy day, we don't skip the spiritual part. All right. There is no liberation without this. Your own brothers and sisters will put you right back into slavery. If you don't believe this, I mean, I don't know what to tell you, because you're dealing with our people. We can see how we can, you know, when we're ruled by our lower selves, we will try to get over on each other. It's not a good thing. It's not pretty. All right. So there is no, for us as Moorish Americans, we understand there is no liberation, right, without the triumph of spirit over matter. We must do the work on subduing our lower selves. There's no way. There's no other way. We don't leave that out. We don't leave that out, Morris. It's silly when, you know, somebody says, "Oh, don't know with that religion stuff." Okay, okay, Satan, devil, dragon, and beast. Not trying to be mean, not calling names, but that's what the lower self is. It's not about hauling insults. It is what it is. I have a lower self too, and this is how I would talk to my own lower self. So it's not about making anybody feel bad. Nobody should feel bad at all. We all have a lower self. Nobody is holier than thou. And there's no one in here walking around, even though some people might act like it, there's nobody walking around out here without flaws. Okay. So we want to conquer that. And if we don't want to conquer it, nobody will. There's no one who's going to come and unfold a law within you. It's a personal journey for each and every one of us. All we can do is do the work on ourselves and inspire fallen humanity. Okay, that's our task. If we don't do it, I don't believe anyone will. So coming in, you know, going into this, just going to verses 1-4, speaking about the seal of Pilate and the stone door. The tomb in which they had laid the body of the Lord was in a garden rich with flowers. The garden of Salome and Joseph's home was near. Before the watch began, Caiaphas sent a company of priests out to the garden of Salome, that they might be assured that Jesus' body was within the tomb. They rolled away the stone. They saw the body there, and then they placed the stone against the door. And Pilate sent his scribe, who placed the stone upon the stone, the seal of Rome, in such a way that he who moved it would break the seal. Pardon. All right, so we're reading this about the stone and the seal. In this instance, the stone door is representing the barriers that we create. And why? What are we talking about again? We have attachment, this attachment to our own lower desires, not even realizing it. So this is representing the barriers we create through our own attachment to material conditions. And Pilate's seal, right? He places the seal on it, and that's symbolizing the earthly authority. Because what is that? What is Pilate? He's a governor of Rome, right? Rome, the Roman government is a secular government. Secular meaning no spirituality, no religion. There's a separation of church and state, right? So Rome, the Western world, right, is the secular world. This is why when you look in Revelations, it says that Satan rules the world. Lower self rules the world. As a Moorish American Muslim, that should be in our mind. We should not forget that. We should know the conditions and what we're dealing with. Right? That's what Rome symbolizes. That's what rules the world. So Pilate's seal is symbolizing earthly authority. All right? And that's what seems to constrain the truth, the spiritual truth, the almighty, right? So breaking that seal is letting you know that it's foreshadowing this is going to be transcending those limitations. We're leaving it behind. All right? And so on a practical level in our own daily life to apply this, and we might want to go back and listen to this again or look at this again or take some notes. We all should reflect on the seals that we place upon ourselves, even that we place upon others. We want to think about that, consider how we can open ourselves up to higher truths We want to go beyond our earthly limitations. When we look in the Quran of Mecca, look at chapter 39, verse 68. It says, and the trumpet is blown, and all who are in the heavens and the earth fall dead. And this is symbolizing, once again, the same thing. This is the breaking of the material bonds and the awakening of the spirit, because we know that, right, death is not an enemy to man, right? Because when they see the fall dead, other people, oh no, everybody fall dead. No, right? Because it's just an awakening. We're waking up. We're letting those bonds fall away. We're moving on to higher truths, higher understanding. This is not the end all be all of things. And I'm not even talking about just the physical world. I'm saying that there's more to this. There's more that we can accomplish than we realize. So that tomb that Jesus is laid in is representing the material world. And that's what encases the soul, right? The soul, remember, we're neither the body nor the soul. We're spirit and one with Allah. So spirit incarnated in this soul to experience life on the plane of soul, and then took on another form. Soul took on the form of a body, all right, or took on a physical form to experience life in this earthly realm, this material realm. So that whole tomb, because remember, like just reading from the Quran, right? Dead, oh, no, this whole thing is a tomb. This whole physical reality, okay, that we're encased in. So the world is governed by earthly authorities like Rome, and that's represented with Pilate's seal. And it seems to hold the power over the soul, right? The physical world's authority, right? It's trying to confine, it's trying to control spiritual truth, but it's limited. So that seal is warning death to all who break it. To break this seal meant death to him who broke the seal, right? But guess what? This whole thing is a tomb. So we have to break the seal. So it's symbolizing, how the earthly forces are discouraging our spiritual ascent. There's limitations on the knowledge of the lower self. The lower self is not stupid. It's just limited. The lower self is actually very knowledgeable. The lower self can create a whole human being, right? The sperm and the egg turns into a zygote. It keeps multiplying and creates a whole nother human being. It has knowledge. This is why when Adam knew Eve, she bore him children, right? Using that carnal knowledge. We don't even know how it happens, but it happens because the body knows. So the body has knowledge, but guess what? It's limited. It can't see beyond, earthly eyes. So it's limited. And so it's discouraging spiritual ascent because it's limited to this physical realm. It can't go there. So it's discouraging it to keep you here. Hey, yeah, you got to stay here. You got to do this. You got to get some more of those and get some more things. Do this, right? You got to try this. You got to eat that. So it's discouraging that. Try to keep us here in this physical, right? It's lives in lack and fear. I don't know, but it discourages that, right? So that soul, the journey of the soul, it also involves breaking these seals, right? Challenging the limits, challenging worldly beliefs, even authorities, anything that restricts our spiritual growth. Because remember, the chapter in this Quran, the Holy Koran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, on the soul, it describes the soul as this entity that has no fear whatsoever, which is why we're cautioned to take care to the soul, to make sure that we're careful with what we expose it to, what goals we give it, right? If you give the goal to the soul to get high and drunk all the time, you're going to become an alcoholic. You're going to become a drug addict because the soul ain't scared of like, okay, let's go all the way. Let's go all the way. All right. So we want to give it higher aims, higher goals. So we have to find the courage now to seek higher truths. We can't let the fear of the consequences that's imposed by society or cultural norms limit us. So on a daily, on a regular basis, we want to reflect on the seals that's in our life. Any fears, any limiting beliefs, we want to start to think about how we can release those, right? Because the way we can do it is the truth of our higher self. This is why it's the truth of our higher self, know yourself and thy Father God Allah, is in the beginning of this Quran to give us strength, to give us courage, right? To expand beyond what we have been limited to think, right? They taught us that we were born in sin, right? And that you can get sick, that you can get cancer from your grandparents had it. It can be passed down to you, all types of limiting beliefs that's not even true. We have to go beyond all of that, right? Because actually there's no limitation on us whatsoever. So moving forward, verses 5 through 14. If we're not looking at these scriptures to see the deeper meaning and how we can actually use this to empower ourselves, then it's not really doing anything for you. We're not supposed to be having the same problems that we've been having all our lives. We're not supposed to be having the same problems that everyone else has. We're not supposed to be, she broke up with me or he broke up with you or whatever. We're not supposed to be having those same problems. We're supposed to be expanding beyond that, right? Ain't supposed to be no Moorish American went and killed his girlfriend or wife because she was cheating on him. Now we're supposed to be rising above all that earthly foolishness. We're not supposed to be having those problems. So going to verses 5 through 14. Speaking about the silent brotherhood, the presence of the silent brotherhood, right? So we know about the Roman seal meant death to him who broke the seal, but we spoke about what that really means. We ain't scared of that. When you see this stuff talking about death, who's scared? If you're scared, you know what they say. If you're scared, go to church. Not knocking the church. Not knocking it. But they taught us, they brought us up in fear. That's what was given to us. That's where you should be at. Because as Moorish Americans, this don't scare you. We don't fear that. Death is not an enemy to man. And then we also know this ain't even really talking about physical death. We going beyond the limitations, right? We're no longer slaves to sin. The Jewish soldiers all were sworn to faithfulness. And then the watch began. At midnight, all was well, but suddenly the tomb became a blaze of light, and down the garden walked a troop of white-clad soldiers, marched in a single file. They came up to the tomb and marched and counter-marched before the door. The Jewish soldiers were alert. They thought his friends had come to steal the body of the Nazarene. The captain of the guard cried out to charge. They charged, but not a white-clad soldier fell. They did not even stop. They marched and counter-marched among the frightened men. They stood upon the Roman seal. They did not speak. They unsheathed not their swords. It was the silent brotherhood. The Jewish soldiers fled in fear. They fell upon the ground. They stood apart until the white-clad soldiers marched away, and then the light about the tomb grew dim. Then they returned. The stone was in its place. The seal was not disturbed, and they resumed their watch. All right. So you have the silent brotherhood dressed in white. We know that white represents purity, right? Divine protection, enlightenment even. And so their presence there is signifying the guardianship, the spiritual guardianship that's present. Even if it's unseen, it's there and it's guiding and it's shielding the soul in times of transformation. There's been times in my life, and I'm sure in your life as well, where you've been protected. Might have been doing foolish things, might have been doing things where people have died and you were protected. Somehow, not through your own wisdom, you were protected by something else, right? And so, on a regular basis, we want to think about that. All the times when we felt like we were spiritually protected and how just the presence of unseen forces or something guiding you, right? Guiding principles, whatever it is, that's keeping us aligned with our higher purpose. We want to reflect on that, right? Now, when I'm saying white, we know that, for us, from our understanding, we know that white means purity. Purity means God, right? We know that. White also, when you're looking at the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, it says white denotes purity, spirit, and truth, right? Revealing the brothers here are the silent brotherhood is divine energies. They protect and elevate our soul's journey, right? So we have protection and guidance. That's in our prayer. What aspects of Allah do we call upon? We call upon the protection, but also the guidance. Protect and guide by night and by day. So even when you sleep, even when you're in the astral realm, sleeping, deep sleep, traveling all around, right? There's all types of, different negative energies and stuff out there, but you're guided and protected by night and by day. Doesn't matter what people are trying to do to you, none of that stuff, right? So we want to understand this and call upon it and just give honor and respect for this, give praise for divine guardianship, right? And it doesn't have to be loud. It's quiet, but it's powerful. This is why there's a silent brotherhood. They said not a word. They didn't even take their swords out, but they scared the soldiers, right? It's quiet, but it's powerful. And we all have this along our journey in life. So even, and it's otherworldly, right? It moves without confrontation, without force. So this is what we have, right? And that's what the silent brotherhood, symbolizes in this format. It's, purity and wisdom and spiritual protection. And that's reminding us while we're on our spiritual journey, even if we feel isolated, even if we feel like we're all alone, we are always surrounded by divine support. Always. The silent march that they have that symbolizes divine work. It's occurring and it's in unseen ways, but it's always guiding and it's always strengthening us quietly from within. And on a daily application, this is something that we, I say we should all meditate on a daily basis, right? Prayer is a form of prayer. I hope that those words are just words, that we take that seriously, right? We want to meditate on a regular basis. You can even, meditate on the presence of spiritual guidance, right? You can even say the prayer to yourself, protection and guidance, unseen forces that support your journey, right? We want to practice mindfulness. We want to tune into this because the guidance that we receive, even during challenging times, it's subtle. It's just the urge, oh, do this, go there, right? We don't always realize it, but we're never alone on the path of spiritual transformation. It might even see it, if it helps people to understand it, you have angels surrounding you at all times, and they're trying to communicate with you. They're trying to get you to go this way, to do this. Okay? And the way they communicate with us, the way that guidance and protection comes through is so subtle. It's easy to overlook. But we want to begin to tap in. And that's also why we want to meditate on a regular basis, at least once a day. We want to start working that up to, 3 times a day, right? But hey, once a day, hey, that's better than nothing. So let's move on. Verses 15 through 24. Jesus preaches to the spirits in prison, right? So that's why this image was up here. So we're transcending something. We're overcoming something. Because remember, this is a lesson for all of us, everyone. It's for all of humanity, but the prophet came to us first, and we honor that. Maybe we're supposed to be an example for the entire world once we get it together. Now, Jesus did not sleep within the tomb. The body is the manifest of the soul. but soul is without its manifest. And in the realm of souls unmanifest, the Lord went forth and taught. He opened up the prison doors and set the prisoners free. He broke the chains of captive souls and led the captives to the light. He sat in council with the patriarchs and prophets of the olden times, the masters of all times and climes he met. And in the great assemblies, he stood forth and told the story of his life on earth and of his death in sacrifice for man and of his promises to clothe himself again in garb of flesh and walk with his disciples, just to prove the possibilities of man, to give them the keys of life, of death, and of the resurrection of the dead. In council, all the masters sat and talked about the revelations of the coming age, when she, the holy breath, shall fill the air, fill the earth and air with holy breath, and open up the way of man to perfectness of endless life. So this is the time that we're entering into, and that's why there's so many distractions, so much stupid, just foolishness to keep us from tapping in and unfolding our true potential, right? This descent that Jesus went into the realm of unmanifest souls to teach. He went into the realm of unmanifest souls to teach. For us, this is what we're all going through right now. Now it's representing liberating wisdom, breaking the psychological, the spiritual chains that are on us, right? And it's signifying our own power to free ourselves from inner bondage. And it's coming through what? He's teaching. So it's coming through understanding and enlightenment, right? And this is something that, once again, can be applied to each of us on a daily basis, because we all have personal prisons of thought. We all do. We all have these, earthly pleasures and things that we're bound to, whether we realize it or not. Now, hopefully we can reflect, can quiet our minds and reflect and begin to do the work on ourselves to improve. But we all have these prisons, and they're prisons of thought. It's not even some physical thing that's holding us down. It's our own thoughts. And the thoughts that we have keep us bound, right? So we want to reflect on that, how wisdom and self-mastery is what can help overcome these. We're not really bound, right? The chains, the prison, it's all of our own thought. It's all of our own mind that keeps us bound, that holds us back from realizing our true potential. Okay? When we look in the Quran of Mecca, verse 9, chapter 57, or chapter 57, verse 9, it says, he it is who sends down clear signs to lead you from darkness into light, right? And this is the same thing with Jesus bringing illumination to these realms of darkness, right? That's the role that divine wisdom has in liberating the soul, giving the truth, because we can all free ourselves, right? They say the truth shall set you free. So it's not somebody else coming to set you free. This truth and us applying it is what sets us free, right? Because the prison that we're in is of our own mind, our own thinking. So this resurrection then is not even so much about overcoming death, physical death. It's about the ascent of the soul over mortal, material consciousness, right? The material realm, and the full realization of spiritual truth, like really understanding and really connecting to our true nature, which is Allah and man. We don't want to pay lip service to this stuff. We want to actually tap in. So this Jesus body, remember, resting in the tomb, remember, he goes into the realm of unmanifest souls. He preaches, he's teaching, he's liberating those who are in prison. We want to make sure it's plain and clear. Prison symbolizes what? It's our own thoughts. It's our state of consciousness. And the prison that we're bound in, we're bound by fear, bound by ignorance, bound by attachment. And that fear, ignorance, and attachment, that's basically the program for mainstream media, the news, right? That's why most of the stuff they show is bad news. What's happening? Oh, this is bad. And they play it up and they only show that. They're pushing fear. They're pushing ignorance, right? And attachment too. Attachment to all these earthly things. Hey, buy this, buy that. You gotta get the new Jordans, right? So he's coming to teach, and he's teaching them just to free them from darkness of these limitations, this limited lack way of thinking, right? So that true spiritual liberation is coming through wisdom and enlightenment. This is why we can't skip over this, Moors. It ain't about just getting a bunch of Jordans. It ain't about, still being a slave. All right? Because like how we building a Moorish community and a Moorish nation, and we still got Moors that's trying to, rob you and do stupid, ignorant stuff. So yeah, somebody come, I ain't with the religion stuff though. You need to go on somewhere. Might not say it in that mean of a way, but that's the truth. We're not trying to keep this ignorant nigga mentality. It's trash. We're transcending that for real. We're not trying to be Moorish people with a nigga mentality. No. It's done. Those are the ways of Rome. We're leaving it behind. We're transcending it, right? We breaking the Roman seal. And if people are scared to break the Roman seal, well, hey, you can stay in Rome, but we're not doing that. All right, we're going beyond. So just think about that, on a regular basis, the areas in our life where we're being imprisoned by doubt, by fear, by worry, habits, things that we keep going. We want to replace these limitations with empowering beliefs. We want to understand that true freedom is in the spirit, it's in the mind. And so that's why, too, I think either last holy day or the one before, speaking about spiritual affirmations, powerful affirmations. There was one I mentioned. It's a European lady named Florence Shin. Scoville Shin. She's she's passed away. It was a long time ago when she was doing her work, but wrote a whole bunch of books, and they got YouTube videos. You can just type her name on YouTube and just play. It's nothing but spiritual affirmations, because all her stuff is like based off of the Bible, right? Allah, God, and the true spirit. Because I think there's a lot of people that were into the true, like, hidden spiritual meaning of the scriptures, right? The empowering, portion of it that most people don't know. And so, it's good to listen to stuff like that because, there's so much negativity out there. There's so much, so much lack and limitation and fear being pushed. You don't want to take all that stuff in and not replace it, not do the work to at least, okay, if I'm going to hear all this negativity and all this mess, we need to at least put some positive stuff in there too, because we're programming ourselves every day. All right. So going into verse 25 to 34. The Garden of Siloam was silent on the Sabbath day. The Jewish soldiers watched, and no one else approached the tomb. But on the following night, the scene was changed. At midnight, every Jewish soldier heard a voice which said, Adon Mashich Humi, which meant, Lord Jesus, arise. And they supposed again the friends of Jesus were alert, were coming up to take the body of their Lord away. The soldiers were alert with swords unsheathed and drawn, and then they heard the words again. It seemed as though the voice was everywhere, and yet they saw no man. The soldiers blanched with fear, and still to flee meant death for cowardice. So they stood and watched. Again, and this was just before the sun arose. The heavens blazed with light. A distant thunder seemed to herald forth a coming storm, and then the earth began to quake, and in the rays of light they saw a form descend from heaven. They said, behold, an angel comes. And then they heard again, Adon Mashich Humi. And then the white-robed form tramped on the Roman seal, and then he tore it into shreds. He took the mighty stone in his hand as though it were a pebble from a brook and cast it to the side. Okay, so this command, Adon Mashich Kumi, meaning Lord Jesus arise. That's a command that's representing divine authority over life and death. All right, remember the Roman seal is torn to shreds. He tramped on it. He stepped on it first, then tore it to shreds. Threw that stone like it was a pebble, right? And we know that that stone is representing the barriers that we create through our own attachment to this material realm, to the earthly realm. So all that was just tossed away. The seal, the earthly authority that Rome has, right? This, all of that was torn up, thrown away. Okay. So that command, Lord Jesus arise, that's divine authority. And it's over life and death. And it also is symbolizing the awakening of the Christ consciousness within. Remember, Jesus, the Christ. The Christ is a title. We're all supposed to raise the Christ consciousness within. Because ultimately, we're all being urged to transcend lower self. Remember, in the very first chapter of the Quran, this is what's taught to us all. We're all sons of the Most High, Allah. All of us. The child is as perfect as the mother is. We're not born in sin. That is a lie. It's a straight up lie. All right. And then we're all to subdue lower self. All of us are to transcend lower self. All of us are to, go through the different ways of life, the ups and downs. We're all eventually to be the strength of Allah made manifest. That's what we're here for. So it wasn't just as it was taught to most of us in church, this Jesus did it. No, that is a formula for all of us to do it. And since it's not taught in that manner, we're not taking it and empowering ourselves with it. Right? Eat this little piece of bread, this little cracker, and drink the grape juice or the wine or whatever, right? We're not taught. They're not saying, hey, you are to rise up the Christ energy within you. So this is what the prophet is doing. He's bringing it straight to us. He knows that they've been exposed to Jesus. Okay, well, we're going to use this story of Jesus to wake up something within. That's why we can't leave this out, Moors. That's why true Muslims are where on the holy day? We're at the temple. We're consistent with it. Yes, we pray. If any other Muslim from, somewhere else, no disrespect, is asking you, do you pray? How many times a day do you pray? Hey, you let them know that true Muslims aren't supposed to be judging any men, right? Judging another's faith is forbidden in Islam. They can't tell you, oh, you're not supposed to be wearing gold. You can't have tattoos. Guess what? You can't judge anybody else's faith. It's forbidden. All right. So for us, our understanding, we are to unfold Allah within. Each and every one of us is to transcend the lower self. That's right. There is a verse for that. Okay. Which means it's law. So, that is everyone's job. It's not just Jesus. It's not, oh, Jesus died for our sins. Are we good? And can send it up, right? I just, before I die, be like, I accept Jesus and I'm good. No, it's on each and every one of us to raise the Christ consciousness within, which means each and every one of us must conquer lower self. We must be doing that good work. Right? Doesn't mean everybody's going to fully accomplish it. Who cares? As long as you're doing the good work, you're a good Muslim, you're good. As long as you are at least working to be your higher self, you're good. Right? So we want to reflect on that though, because we're all being called to arise. When you see that, it doesn't say Adam Mashich Kumi once. It's in there twice. This is a call. And it's for each of us to arise, for the Christ consciousness to arise, the true self. Remember, the higher self is truth because it is one with Allah. It is Allah in man. So it's calling on that Christ consciousness to rise within each and every one of us. It's not a special call for certain people. It's for everyone. Doesn't matter if you're homeless right now, you could be in prison, you could be doing good. It doesn't matter where you're at in life. It's a call for each and every one of us. And we're supposed to hear it. And now we're supposed to do the work. All right. Want to recognize the inner Christ, the Christ consciousness. This is our source of strength and renewal. Right. This is how we rise above. And I see the sister before I yield the floor. I'm going to read chapter 2, verse 257 from the Quran. It says, the Quran of Mecca, it says, Allah is the protector of those who believe. He brings them out of darkness into light. This is what all of this is about. It's all about illuminating the soul's path to what? To divine unity, unifying with higher self. Islam, I yield the floor, sister.
Islam, first and foremost, I'd like to rise and give perfect praise to our Father God Allah, honors to His Prophet Noble Jali, honors to the forerunner, our brother Marcus Mosiah Garvey, and honors to the first and foremost Supreme Grand Sheikh, our brother Emily Il, honors to all you Muslims on this beautiful holy day. I just want to add gratitude for this measure, because this is very well needed. It's very necessary for our people to understand what the scriptures actually means. And there's a lot of parts that they did not break down in Christianity, in the churches. So this is a key component to our development in our spirituality and in knowledge of self, because a lot of us came up in a situation where we didn't believe that anything great was within us. We didn't believe that we was connected to the Most High in all of these ways. You know, we were always told, like, it was always like God was like Santa Claus. He's always watching you. And they never explained, you know, how Allah is a part of every part. And when we are walking in our truth, we will start to feel different. We'll start to be different. We'll start to actually see, you know, the blessings and the rewards from us choosing to be better. And a lot of us have been in the movement for different periods of time. But regardless of the periods of time that we've been in here, if we are focusing on these divine instructions, we will start to see the rewards in our daily lives. It will be, you know, very little incidents here and there. We'll call them coincidence. Oh, what a coincidence. Oh, I just found money in my pocket. I was broke. You know, all these little coincidences. And then once we understand, oh, there's no such thing as coincidence. I'm attracting these things with my mind. Then we're being intentional. Then when we wake up in the morning, we activate, you know, that law of attraction. We activate that God power that's within us. And then we focus like a laser on our desires to better ourselves and, you know, to better our family, to be the examples. And that's when we're living in abundance. That's when the cup is overflow. You know, that's when, you know, you spend $1, you receive $10, just like that. And as long as you keep it going, it's going to keep flooding into your lives. And we see it. And we, you know, before we came in, we were, you know, ignorant to the science, ignorant to the spirituality, you know. But once you start to get with it and start walking that walk, I promise you, Muslims, you are going to experience blessings in abundance. Your life is going to change. Just stick with it. Do not deviate from this path. Islam, I yield the floor.
Islam and gratitude, sister. Moving on to verse 35. And Jesus opened up his eyes and said, all hail the rising sun, the coming of the day of righteousness. And then he folded up his burial gown, his headbands, and his coverings, and laid them all aside. He arose and for a moment stood beside the white-robed form. The weaker soldiers fell to the ground and hid their faces in their hands. The stronger stood and watched. They saw the body of the Nazarene transmute They saw it change from mortal to immortal form, and then it disappeared. The soldiers heard a voice from somewhere, yea, from everywhere. It said, peace, peace on earth, goodwill to men. They looked, the tomb was empty, and the Lord had risen as he said. So coming into this now, Jesus is transmuting from the mortal to the immortal form. And this is something that's symbolic, once again, for each and every one of us. Maybe not on this, this level that's being depicted here, because this is symbolic. So that transformation is showing spiritual transcendence. The true resurrection is the rising of our own soul above material and finite limitations. Remember, the seal was trampled on, whatever, and torn to shreds, right? The rock that was blocking the tomb was thrown like a pebble. So, like all these things symbolic, right? The Roman seal, right? The earthly authority. All this stuff is tossed aside. And it doesn't mean anything if we don't know what those things mean spiritually. So now we are understanding what it means spiritually. This is showing that true resurrection. This is something that is available to all of us. And it's rising above material and finite limitations. Don't accept this lack, this fear, and all this stuff. Right? So we want to reflect in our own life. Even if sometimes we feel trapped because, all the things is going on. We want to begin to see things from an immortal or a divine perspective. Why? Because the higher self is beyond even this physical realm. When we look at this whole transmutation thing, he transmuted, right? They saw the body of the Nazarene transmute. Transmutation is the process of spiritual alchemy. So when you have alchemy, for example, changing lead to gold, right? And not saying that people in the past weren't able to change different items into other, items, right? Not saying that wasn't possible, but just saying it was all spiritual. It's all symbolic. Lead to gold meant lead is plentiful. It's not as valuable as gold. Plain and simple. Why would they say that? Because that spiritual alchemy, that transmutation is changing lower thoughts into divine awareness. And this is what Jesus did. That was the transformation. Changing lower thoughts into divine awareness. Lower thoughts coming from lack. They come from limitation. They come from fear. But divine awareness doesn't come from fear. There is no fear, right? Coming from love, like the higher principles, right? Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. There's no limitation. We don't have those things when we're raising our thoughts to divine wisdom. So this is a real deal transformation, alchemy that we can all do. And if you don't think it will change your life, it's because you're not trying to do it. It's because you're thinking from lack. You're thinking from lower self. When we raise our thoughts up to divine wisdom, it changes everything. It changes everything. Right? There are people who have been sick and who were given a death sentence from the doctor. Why? Because from an earthly perspective, they didn't know what to do. And these people rejected it, and they began to, for whatever reason, raise their thoughts to divine wisdom, to begin to see that, hey, there's nothing that can limit me. And they're able to heal themselves and do things that nobody else could do. So we don't want to limit ourselves to the mortal realm, to the carnal mind, basically. Right? Because this is what Jesus did, right? The transmuting the body from mortal to immortal, that's spiritual transformation, divine transmutation, right? And that's available to each soul. It's available to all of us. So this resurrection is an internal spiritual awakening rather than some purely physical event, right? So we're not caught up in all that, because what a lot of us were given in the Christianity, they may even talked about, oh yeah, all the dead is going to come back to life, right? Or the rapture and all this stuff. And it's like, what? You're looking at it from this simple, limited point of view. And they have this whole Bible, metaphysical dictionary, and y'all still trying to give us this limited physical point of view? This ain't doing anything for anybody. When the whole time we could have had the keys to transformation, the keys to power, the keys to the kingdom. And this isn't to say that nobody in Christianity is teaching the proper way, because there are people who are doing it. Respect to the deceased, rest in peace to the brother Reverend Ike, and there are others who taught this too. But just saying, the way that most of us were taught it was, it was extremely limiting. But this transformation reflects the journey of the soul, and it's releasing earthly attachments. It's releasing those limitations, and then beginning to what? Embrace its true divine nature. You can't be poor. Higher self can't be sick, poor, broke, dusty, none of those things, right? So that resurrection, remember, it's spiritual awakening. We too can attain spiritual immortality, but we must be devoted to the truth. We must have unwavering focus on divine principles. So we really do want to make sure our thoughts, deeds, and actions all line up with love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. We want to be devoted to truth. Truth, remember, is our true nature. Truth is spirit. Truth is higher self, is one with Allah. The lower self will pass away. This whole material realm will cease to exist. The higher self is spirit. It will not pass away because it is one with Allah. So we want to transmute these different areas of our life from lower to higher qualities, right? Anger, fear, lack, right? All of those things can be transmuted. Anger can become understanding. Fear can become faith. Doubt can become wisdom, right? Jealousy can become gratitude. Ain't over here hating on anybody, trying to throw shots at anyone or any of that mess. I ain't thinking about stuff like that. That is a limited way of thinking. And if we think like that, we think everybody thinks like that. But everybody doesn't. So we want to transcend that. All right? Because that is Satan, devil, dragon, and beast. When we think like that, we look in the mirror, need to call it out like, be gone, Satan. And we're talking to our own self. We have to raise our own thoughts up. Okay? And so moving forward, verse 43. The soldiers hastened to Jerusalem and to the priests and said, behold, the Nazarene has risen, as he said. The tomb is empty, and the body of the man is gone. We know not where it is. And then they told about the wonders of the night. Caiaphas called a council of the Jews. He said, the news must not go forth that Jesus has risen from the dead. For if it does, all men will say, and we already know Caiaphas, he's a Roman governor, so he's representing that earthly authority. The news must not go forth, right? For if it does, all men will say, he is the Son of Allah, and all our testimonials will be proven false. And then they called the hundreds of soldiers in and said to them, you know not where the body of the Nazarene is resting now. So if you will go forth and say that his disciples came and stole the body while you slept, each of you shall have a silver piece, and we will make it right for Pilate for breaking of the Roman seal. The soldiers did as they were paid to do. So the priests, right, they're bribing, right? They have a scheme. They don't want to spread the truth. They don't want the news to go out. So the priests are bribing the soldiers, right? And that bribe is representing the forces in the world that's attempting to distort and even hide divine truth, right? They want to hide it. But the truth of the resurrection cannot be permanently hidden. It's inevitable. It's a divine inevitability. It can't be hidden forever, right? They thought they dispersed all the Moors and put confusion in there, right? Paid the when the prophet left the scene, there were a few Moors left in leadership, and there's a rumor, we don't know if this is true, but there's a rumor that the Roman government gave them all a silver piece to go in their own direction, starting their own movements or their own versions of the temple, right? And so this is like an oral story that's been passed down. And I'm just saying this to say that it was an attempt, if this is true, to keep the truth from spreading. Did it work? No. They might have thought it did, because you go 1920s to 1930s, 1940s. By the 1960s, hardly anybody knew about the prophet. 1970s, 1980s, it was over. There's only a handful of Moors that have a temple or whatever that even know anything about the prophet. They thought they had succeeded. But out of the blue, now it's just rising. There's temples all over the nation now. There's proud Moorish Americans who have the holy zeal. They're going all the way for the prophet. And all of this stuff happened. And the Roman, government, they thought they did away with it. They thought it was gone. Nobody was teaching about it. Our own people who even were with the prophet physically, acted like he didn't exist. They didn't tell nobody. They didn't even tell their own children. We even met some Moors whose grandparents were in the temple, right? They had bays on their name and didn't even know what it was about, And so they thought they did away with it, but it's here. They can't permanently hide it. It's inevitable. So we want to reflect on that, because the spiritual truths, they may face resistance, but ultimately it will always prevail. The truth will prevail. Always. Okay? And that's why, we can stand firm in who we are, in our beliefs, with confidence. And it doesn't matter what kind of pressures there are out there. Doesn't matter about how much misinformation is being spread. It doesn't matter, right? When we're looking at Holy Koran of Mecca, it says chapter 24, verse 35, Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth. The light of the heavens and the earth. This is just reinforcing that divine truth. It's like the light. It will always find its way through the darkest schemes. It doesn't matter what it is. It's limited. It had its chance. It ran its course. It's over. We have to stand confident in who we are so that we can lead the world. We're to uplift fallen humanity. We're not to continue the ways of Rome. If anybody wants to do that, I'm sorry. It's not going to work. Time's up. So the bribe of those priests to bribe the soldiers, telling them to spread falsehoods about the resurrection, that's the world's resistance to spiritual truth, right? The material forces, they want to obscure, they want to suppress higher knowledge. But just like that spiritual truth, it's like the light. It can't be concealed forever. So it doesn't matter what worldly attempts to deny, to distort the truth are. The resurrection is the testimony that divine principles ultimately will always prevail. Truth cannot be permanently hidden or suppressed. We have to stand firm in our spiritual convictions, right? Doesn't matter if we're in the face of doubt or even opposition from the material world, right? We want to embrace honesty and integrity and know that the truth always finds its way into the light. Always, right? We can stand on that with confidence, with supreme confidence, and knowing that it will always prevail, right? So just, with the symbolism in these things, the stone doors, the seals, we encounter these things all the time in our spiritual journey, all right? But remember the presence of that silent brotherhood, that we're always protected. We're always protected, and what? It's in our prayer. We're protected and guided by unseen forces. Unseen because it's from the spiritual realm, right? And so when Jesus is called to arise and embody that divine spirit, we're all being called That's why we're here. You wouldn't even be here if you didn't heed that call, right? Then Minister Farrakhan got the newspaper, the final call. We heeded the call, and that's why we're here. All right? So we want to uphold spiritual truths. Doesn't matter what worldly forces are out there to deny it, to distort it, to try to bribe you. Doesn't matter. We're not going for it. So on a just practical measures, right? We want to close on this. Practical measures from chapter 18. We want to integrate these lessons into our life. Daily reflection just on our spiritual goals. Remember, we want to, especially in the morning and the evening, or morning or evening, whichever one works best for you, we want to dedicate a few moments just to reflect on our spiritual goals. We want to think about how we can embody, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice in all our actions, even in our thoughts. We want to rise above negative influences. We want to rise above limiting beliefs, limiting and lack. They're always coming through. Oh, what they're doing. No. We want to be able to trust each other, right? We don't want to always fall back into that Roman way of thinking, that limited way of thinking.
Miami, Florida.
Islam, we want to
Join
rise
the meeting.
above that, right? We want to release limiting beliefs, the seals, right? This limiting us, and we carry them along with us, but it's not even real. You could rip it to shreds at any point in time, right? So we want to get rid of that. And another way to do that too, with, like I was saying before, with the affirmations, right? Instead of listening to negative rap and stuff all the time, maybe we should play some positive affirmations at least every now and then, because all that negative stuff, it's a program. They got us doing it like it's cool. Maybe the Moors that make music should be making music where it's positive affirmations. They don't even see the potential in that. That's unlimited potential. Unlimited. Since everybody's motivated by the money, right? They're not even seeing the potential in having music that could be played for the children. It's not so despicable that, but hey, we want to release those limiting beliefs. Maybe, listen to some positive affirmations every now and then to program ourselves, right? So that we know that the seals are illusions, man. Rip them to shreds, it's nothing. And that presence of the silent brotherhood, remember, is within each and every one of us. That's why, too, we want to practice meditation. We want to connect. We want to go within every now and then, just quiet our mind, just focus on the breaths, quiet the mind. Why? Because we want to connect to our own higher self to receive divine guidance. We can even ask before, we beginning to meditate. We want ask to be receptive, to be able to receive inner guidance, because the support that we need, the protection even that we need, is always there. It's always available, even though we can't see it. It's unseen. So we can do this and tap into this on a regular basis. We want to rise to the call of our own higher self, right? We're all being called to be, that Christ, to raise up that Christ energy. Another reason why we want to tap in, make this a daily practice with the meditation. Or, hey, do it morning and night. And then, of course, with Jesus teaching and liberating the souls in prison, we want to be light. We want to bring light into the lives of others. Another reason why we're working on our own lower self, so that we can help others break free, right? From their own chains, the prisons that people are in. So we want to conquer our own, demons. And then now we can help others, right? Limiting beliefs, right? We can help others overcome that stuff. All right. And we can do it with empathy because we've gone through it. We know what it's like. We're not going to be talking down to anyone. So we want to hold to the truth, right? Just as the resurrection of Jesus, it couldn't be hidden. They can try to hide it. They've been trying to hide all this stuff for the longest, but it's over. So we want to hold to it. You don't want to go along with the ways of Rome. It's over. It's done. It's time, right? We're coming into our true nature. On that note, though, Moors, I'm going to go ahead and yield the floor. If there's any questions or comments, Morris, please feel free to speak. And on that note, I yield the floor. Peace. Islam, brother.
Islam, arise, give praise to the great God Allah, rise to prophet, rise and give honor to Prophet Noble to Ali, rise and give honor to the forerunner Marcus Messiah Garden. This is a great measure, and this is also a great measure on self, as far as us knowing the instructions that the prophet prepared for us and through these chapters. This is a great measurement to reflect on self and the lower self. And one thing that I've noticed in my journey with the lower self is you really got to study the lower self more than the higher self. The lower self, the body and the soul, that self is more dangerous than the higher self. And if you really think about it and put any type of thought in it, even if the person you don't know or brother sisters you don't know, you will be more concerned with their lower self than their higher self. Islam. So we do gotta understand to do the lower self, but we also gotta understand that that is part of us. And that was a great measure what we learned on chapter 18 today with that. Islam, my the floor.
Islam, brother. Gratitude for demonstrating. Peace and love. Are there any more questions or comments, Morris? All right. If there are no further questions or comments, we're going to go ahead and go into the closing of the meeting. Don't go anywhere. We're going to read our divine warning. A divine warning by the prophet for the nations. The citizens of all free national governments, according to their national constitution, are all of one family bearing one free national name. Those who fail to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government are classed as undesirables and are subject to all inferior names and abuses and mistreatments that the citizens care to bestow upon them. And it is a sin for any group of people to violate the national constitutional laws of a free national government and cling to the names and the principles that delude to slavery. I, the prophet, was prepared by the great God Allah to warn my people to repent from their sinful ways and go back to the state of mind, to their forefathers' divine and national principles, that they will be law abiders and receive their divine right as citizens according to the free national constitution that was prepared for all free national beings. They are to claim their own free national name and religion. There is but one issue for them to be recognized by this government and of the earth, and it comes only through the connection of the Moorish divine national movement, which is incorporated in this government and recognized by all other nations of the world. And through it, they and their children can receive their divine rights, unmolested by other citizens, that they can cast a free national ballot at the polls under the free national constitution of the state's government, and not under a granted privilege, as has been the existing condition for many generations. You who doubt whether I, the prophet, and my principles are right for the redemption of my people, go to those that know the law, in the city hall, and among the officials in your government, and ask them under an intelligent tone, and they will be glad to render you a favorable reply. For they are glad to see me bring you out of darkness into light. Money doesn't make the man. It is free national standards and power that makes a man and a nation. The wealth of all national governments, gold and silver and commerce, belong to the citizens alone. And without your national citizenship by name and principles. You have no true wealth. And I am hereby calling on all true citizens that stand for a national free government and the enforcement of the Constitution to help me in my great missionary work, because I need all support from all true American citizens of the United States of America. Help me to save my people who have fallen from the constitutional laws of the government. I am depending on your support to get them back to the constitutional fold again, that they will learn to love instead of hate, and will live according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, supporting our free national Constitution of the United States of America. I love my people, and I desire their unity and mine back to their own free national and divine standard, because day by day they have been violating the national and constitutional laws of their government by claiming names and principles that are unconstitutional. If Italians, Greeks, English, Chinese, Japanese, Turks, and Arabians are forced to proclaim their free national name and religion before the constitutional government of the United States of America, it is no more than right that the law should be enforced upon all other American citizens alike. In all other governments, when a man is born and raised there and asks for his national descent name, and if he fails to give it, he is misused, imprisoned, or exiled. Any group of people that fail to answer up to the constitutional standards of law by name and principles, because to be a citizen of any government, you must claim your national descent name, because they place their trust upon issue and names formed by their forefathers. The word Negro deludes in the Latin language to the word nigger, the same as the word colored deludes to anything that is painted, varnished, and dyed. And every nation must bear a national descent name of their forefathers, because honoring thy fathers and thy mothers, your days will be lengthened upon this earth. These names have never been recognized by any true American citizens of this day. Through your free national name, you are known and recognized by all nations of the earth that are recognized by said national government in which they live. The 14th and 15th Amendments brought the North and South in unit, placing the Southerners, who were at that time without power, with the constitutional body of power. And at that time, 1865, the free national constitutional law that was in force since 1774 declared all men equal and free. And if all men are declared by the free national constitution to be free and equal, since that constitution has never been changed, there is no need for the application of the 14th and 15th Amendments for the salvation of our people and citizens. So, there isn't but one supreme issue for my people to use to redeem that which was lost, and that is through the above statements. Then the lion and the lamb can lie down together in yonder hills, and neither will be harmed, because love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice will be reigning in this land. In those days, the United States will be one of the greatest civilized and prosperous governments of the world. But if the above principles are not carried out by the citizens and my people in this government, the worst is yet to come. Because the great God of the universe is not pleased with the works that are being performed in North America by my people, and this great sin must be removed from the land to save it from enormous earthquakes, disease, etc. And I, the prophet, do hear and believe that this administration of the government, being more wisely prepared by more genius citizens that believe in their free national constitution and laws, and through the help of such classes of citizens, I, the prophet, truly believe that my people will find the true and divine way of their forefathers and learn to stop serving carnal customs and merely ideas of man that have never done them any good but have always harmed them. So I, the prophet, am hereby calling aloud with the divine plea to all true American citizens to help me to remove this great sin which has been committed and is being practiced by my people in the United States of America, because they know it is not the true and divine way, and without understanding they have fallen from the true light into utter darkness of sin. And there is not a nation on earth today that will recognize them socially, religiously, politically, or economically, etc., in their present condition of their endeavorment in which they themselves try to force upon a civilized world. They will not refrain from their sinful ways of action, and their deeds have brought Jim Crowism, segregation, and everything that brings harm to human beings on earth. And they fought the Southerner for all these great misuses, but I have traveled in the South and have examined conditions there, and it is the works of my people continuously practicing the things which bring dishonor, disgrace, and disrespect to any nation that lives the life. And I am hereby calling on all true American citizens for moral support and finance to help me in my great missionary work to bring my people out of darkness into marvelous light. From the Prophet. Islam Moors. Right. Happy Holy Day. We're going to go ahead and close things out. Before we do, though, just wanted to put the call out there for anyone who would like to assist us in the great work of uplifting fallen humanity to please send a donation to the temple. You can always go to www.moorishamericans.com. When you go to that website, just scroll down to the bottom and use the donate button on there to send a donation to the temple. Also, for anyone who would like to proclaim their nationality, you can always go to our website, once again, moorishamericans.com, and just use that contact button on there. Use the contact button to reach out to us. We will have to talk with you and potentially meet up first. So, use that information on there. You can use the form or you can call the number on there and we'll talk. Okay, and let's see. I believe there's some more announcements.
Yes, on Sunday, November the 25th, we are having a physical meeting, and that is our community charity event. So collect the donations, non-perishable canned good items. We will be dispersing them into the community and feeding as many families as we can this year. We've been doing an excellent job for the past 3 years, and every year just gets bigger and better. So please mark your calendars because we want to see everybody present on November 25th. Islam.
All right, Islam. Okay, Moors, all meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. I ask that everyone who's able to please rise and face the east for the closing prayer. You do not need to repeat after me, Moors. Allah, bind our hearts and minds back to our ancient forefathers' divine creed and principles. We ask this in thy holy name in the 7 Elohim. Amen. Islam, peace and love, Moors. Happy Holy Day. This meeting is now adjourned.
Peace and love. Happy Holy Day.
Peace and love. Happy Holy Day.
Happy